Because otherwise, if you feel like there's something more that you need to do, remember that's the element of control. When you feel that kind of pressure, when you feel that kind of force, when you feel like you have to do something or manipulate something in order to receive a particular outcome, right? And then when you feel like you've tried and you've tried and you've tried and you've exhausted everything, you've exhausted yourself, that is when you are on your knees, metaphorically, in surrender. And that is where the universe and God wants you to be. The universe wants you to be in that state of surrender, because in that state of surrender, you're actually in the energy of presence, where you're like, I can't keep pushing forward. I can't keep trying. I can't keep having conversations. I can't convince. I can't prove. Because you're not meant to. You're not meant to be convincing. You're not meant to be proving anything. You are meant to be so firmly in yourself, in your self-love, in your sacredness, in your divinity, in your truth, in your authenticity, in your presence, so firmly anchored into yourself that it's like, okay, it is what it is. I will allow it to be whatever it wants to be. That's the ultimate level of surrender. And it's a process. And I always say that these journeys are processes. It's a process, and it's a difficult one, because it's like we want a specific outcome so much, or we know that something can work out, or we know that this can happen or this can happen. We have that inner knowing, right? But that inner knowing, sometimes when it's tied to our ego, can make us try to force, or can make us try to manipulate, or can make us try to control something. Not controlling with ill intentions. Like, you're not doing this out of ill intentions. It's just the ego. That's what the ego knows. The ego knows to try to predict, to try to control. The ego likes a sense of certainty. The ego likes a sense of knowing. And when you are just kind of releasing that, that's a little bit fearful. It's fearful to say, you know what? I don't know if I'm ever going to be with this person. I don't know if I'm ever going to get that job. I don't know if I'm ever going to have my dream life. I don't know if any of this is ever going to take place. But the thing is, you do know. You do know, because it's inside of yourself. You do know. It might not happen exactly the way that you think it should look, but that's where you have to trust in the universe. That's where you have to have some kind of faith in God. That's how you have to have faith in yourself and what you're creating and the energy that you're creating. It might not look according to your linear timeline. It might not look exactly how you expect it to. I think when we watch movies and read books, etc., the beautiful thing about that is it allows us to dream, and it allows us to use our imagination. But I think the detriment that books, and I'm a writer, so I get it, the detriment that we have is that when you're reading books, it goes by a linear structure, right? Or when you're watching a movie, you have, scene A, scene B, scene C. You have the 3-arc story structure. It's a structure. Life isn't so much a structure. When you look back, yes, you can see the grand arc of your life. But when you're actually living it, you can't go from A to B to Z, or to C. Sometimes it goes from A to D to E to G. It has a structure, it has a grand design that eventually you see, but it won't always be according to your own outline, or the way that you would plot it, or the way that you would write it, or the way that you would craft it. There's an element of trust here. There's a blueprint. Your soul has that blueprint. But our ego likes to say, oh, okay, I have to go from here to here to here to here. And the universe is like, well, sometimes you're going to go here, and then here, and then here, to here, but you're always on your path. There's this element of trust. There's this element of surrender. There's this element of faith. And you put that trust, you put that faith, yes, in the universe, yes, in God, but also in yourself, in your own very soul that's guiding you. Because it's almost like you've exhausted yourself. You've exhausted every outlet. You've exhausted every opportunity. You've exhausted every conversation. Again, you do not have to prove yourself or convince anybody. And if you are, then that's where you allow yourself to keep doing that inner work and say, okay, what belief do I hold that says that I need to prove love? That love needs to be proven? What belief do I hold that says that I have to convince somebody to love me? Where do I feel like I'm not lovable just by being who I am, just by on my own? Where do I believe that somebody won't choose me? Where do I believe that I'm not special? Where do I believe that somebody won't see so highly of me just on their own? Look at that. Look at those beliefs. Look at where those beliefs formed, and where that stemmed from. Where did you have to convince other people to see your value, to see your worth? Because you are worthy and you are valued just for who you are, just for being who you are. You could wear the rattiest clothes. You can, have the crappiest job. You could live in the worst place possible, and you would still have value. You would still have worth because of who you are. It's intrinsic to you. And somebody is going to see that regardless of what the outside looks like, because they're going to see past all of that. They're going to see you. And you don't have to convince anybody of your worth. You don't have to convince anybody of your value. You just have to be you. To love, it's like, there's this beautiful, I forget her name, but there was a Buddhist monk who said that to love with liberation, to love truly, to love freely, to love unconditionally means to love with an open hand. And a lot of the times with these connections, we feel these connections so deeply that we go like this. We want to hold on to it at any cost because we fear the letting go. We fear the rejection. We fear the abandonment. We fear the separation. We fear the letting go. But this is unconditional love. This is unconditional love. I'm getting a vision of sitting in a garden on a beautiful summer's day and just sitting in that peace, sitting in that presence, and allowing nature to do its thing around us. I'm just seeing a garden where squirrels are just looking for nuts, or birds are flitting from branch to branch, or butterflies are actually landing on your open palm. You don't all of a sudden seize up and say, oh my gosh, I want to keep this. Oh my gosh, let me scoop you all up as much as you might want to. If you love animals, as much as you might want to. No, you honor and you respect the other being. You respect their presence. You respect their energy. You respect what it is that they're doing as well, their journey as well. And you have a beautiful rendezvous with each other. You have a beautiful exchange in that present moment where you are welcoming the squirrel and the squirrel is welcoming you into the reality. The birds are flying around you, again, welcoming you, and you're welcoming them into each other's reality. The bird landing, or the butterfly landing on your hand, a beautiful recognition, a beautiful rendezvous of the two of you communing with each other. But you're not trapping each other. You're not holding on to each other. You're not having expectation of this is going to be forever. In fact, it's not. Butterflies are quite flighty, right? Butterflies, will take their pause and then they'll go off. Sometimes in life, we have these exchanges with people, these connections with people that take a moment. They only last a moment. Sometimes they last a season. Sometimes they last a lifetime. But it's not for us to dictate. It's not for us to control. That is unconditional love. It is saying, I love you, and I honor where we are. Now, when we're talking about relationships, when we're talking about actual connections and partnerships and friendships and romantic relationships, you have to have the same intention. You have to be on the same page, and that takes communication, that takes expression. And that's where you honor the expression and the communication with each other and within yourself. If one person is withholding, it's a one-sided relationship, and that's not fair to either of you because you're not giving your all to the connection. You're not being present in the connection. If it's one-sided, then one person already has one foot out the door, and that's not honoring of the relationship. But that's a lot of what the chaser and runner dynamic is that we have on this journey. The chaser energy, what we learn to calm is the fear of that initial separation, the fear of what happens when, What happens when it's all ego. It's all patterned, right? The ego operates in patterns. The ego operates in fear. It's that what if? What happens when this goes away? What happens when this ends? You're not being present in it. And again, both of you have to be present. Both of you can't be one-sided. Both of you have to set your intentions. Both of you have to remark that you're on the same page. That's how the relationship works. But it's about honoring each other in that presence. Communicating openly, honestly, intimately, vulnerably within that presence. And it's about saying, I am here for you. I am loyal to you. I am honoring of you, respecting of you. For as long as it feels right for both of us. It's not clenching your fist and holding on for dear life. It is allowing that love to be liberated and free. And you can do that in a healthy, romantic, intimate relationship. You can do that in a committed relationship. It's just fear that holds us back. It's old patterns and maybe old relationship templates that sparks that fear of, oh, I experienced this in a past relationship and it didn't feel good, and maybe I was rejected, or maybe I was abandoned, or maybe I was neglected, or maybe I was this or that, or maybe somebody held on too tightly, maybe somebody wasn't close enough. Whatever it is, there's maybe an old pattern that prevents you from being fully present with your partner. But love is that open hand. And what's beautiful, what I'm seeing is when it is two partners who are on the same frequency, you will reach for each other's hand and you will embrace and hold hands. And there you are. There you are in the energy of love. Knowing that you both are liberated and free in the energy of love. Even in commitment, even in monogamy, even in a loyal, respectful, honoring relationship. You're honoring and loving with each other. That's what that healthy attachment is. It's not that vice grip. That vice grip is repellent. It's resistance. It's pressure. It's simply the energy exchange. It has nothing to do with your value, has nothing to do with your worth. It's simply just allowing you to understand more what true unconditional love really is.